Hello, this is Dr. Heath Van Horn. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about uh, how the difference between writing code in Zybooks and writing code in real life differ. So I'm looking at exercise 1.15, the Hello World. This is a classic code exercise from the beginning of time. I think they've been writing this as the very first code for any language since the 70s. It's you'll see it whenever language you're writing, you will see this exercise. So if you look at Zybooks, you'll notice here that it has the include the IO stream, which is a library. A library is code that you can't see. Actually, you can open it; it's not going to stop you, but it just think of it as this way as code that you can't see. Then you have using namespace standard. Okay, so namespace, or using namespace, that's in the IO stream, and standard STD. What it's saying is that it will automatically insert STD into whatever code that requires it. So that's a little bit different than normal. You would not use using namespace standard in writing production code. That's lazy code and it causes a lot of overhead. So when memory is a premium, you just don't, pardon me. So when memory is a premium, you just don't add that because that adds a lot of overhead to your code. So if you wanted to do hello world here, you would do cout hello world. And then you could do a cout end line. So if you notice up here, it says for all labs end with a new line. So there's a end line, which is a new line. And then return 0. Return 0 you'll get into later on. Just for now, remember that all your code should end with a return 0. That is an industry standard. The best way for me to explain it is if your code ever glitches, you'll have a return. Or if you've ever had a computer crash and it says, hey, code 129 alpha 6, contact your administrator, that's what that return was. It was a return code of some sort that said somewhere in the code, your administrator can look that up and find out where that error occurred. So that's what that return 0 is. Return 0 means everything worked just fine. All right, so if we do develop mode and we run program, we should see an output that says hello world and life is good. All right, so if we look at it on the on a real compiler, this is a Visual Studio compiler. You can download this for free, and you can register using your delhi.edu address, and you can download this compiler and it works just fine. All right, so normally at the top, which you're not putting in Zybooks, but normally at the top you would put your name, the program reference. References can get quite extensive, but for our references, we'll put lab 1.15. And then you put in there what the code does. And this is not, this is a note to yourself, because I can tell you right now that 5-6 weeks from now, after you write your code, you'll have no idea why you wrote something in the way it was. It's just the way it is. Programmers never write comments until they have to go back and look at their own code, and then they realize how important the comments are. So all I'll put in here is this code prints hello world on the screen. All right. If you notice, it includes the same library. So the libraries are exactly the same. It also starts with an int main. Main is a function. It is the one function that runs automatically by the compiler. And then you'll notice that there is no using namespace. So here I had to type standard cout hello world, and then they use the new line character inside the quotes. Okay? And then all this stuff is stuff that was loaded by the compiler to give you some instructions on how the compiler works. It does not automatically include the return 0 because it does not really know what return that you are looking for. And the reason this return 0 says, hey, this is an integer function, and so therefore it will return an integer. So you can't put in here like return A. You'll get an error. It's already telling me it's an error. You can't do that. So return 0 is the normal. And don't forget your semicolons. By the time you're done with this class, the semicolons will be driving you nuts. So, all right. So if we run this one, we just go to debug, start without debugging. It should run without any issues. And you notice it'll bring up an actual command prompt screen. And it says, hello world, right there. And that's what code will normally look like until you write the GUI code, and then it'll pop up as a GUI. But that's how code normally works. That's how programmers look at their code, is by looking at it on the screen like this. All right. So that's just the comparison between how Zybooks work and how real-world writing code in a production environment works. So if you want to try that, you sure can. There are tons of compilers online that'll do the same thing. So you don't have to download this big thing. You can go and just search for a C++ compiler. Online GDB is fine. I like this one. There's a Google one out there too. I got about 9 things running, so my internet's going a bit slow. Never mind. Doesn't like that one. So let's go to online GDB. And then if you notice, it's already got hello world set up for you. It's using namespace standard. This is lazy code writing, by the way. So you notice that it's got the comments up here. So this is where it tells you instructions where the Visual Studio told them at the bottom. Here it says hello world. There is no new line, so we can add the new line. If you do \n, it has to be inside quotes. And that'll do a new line, and then you just hit run, and then it'll tell you what your output is. Hello world. Done. Exited with code 0, return 0. All life is good, and that's how you write production code. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. See me on Slack or send me an email, and I will be glad to assist you. Thank you.